Good evening, Father Castor again here at Williams College in the Driscoll Dining Hall. You can hear the voices of hungry students in the background. I've been sharing with you the past few weeks about the religious sense, about the claim, certainly that I'm making, and I think is a reasonable claim, that we are innately open to God because we're innately open to reality. Now, someone could ask, well, I can understand that, because I'm a human being, I have five senses, I'm open to material reality, but isn't God of a different kind of nature, if in fact there is a God? And how do I get from my openness to the created order to material reality to an immaterial reality, to the kind of reality that God is? And that's certainly an important question. What's the progression from my first encounter with the world around me through my physical senses and that which I can't physically sense and grasp the way that I would a tree or a river, a rock, a stone, a blade of grass, a flower, or a sunset, or Jupiter when Jupiter is in the sky, luminescent. The first way in which we begin to sense that the movement of ourselves towards something external, which is what happens when we recognize that we can take in the world around us, the first really dramatic instance of that is between a child and its mother. And the moment in which a child is first able to focus in on it, to grasp it, to see the mother that's holding the child there, the look of the mother with her child, regardless of circumstance. The mother holds her child and looks into the child's face, and the child is able to grasp and to focus on that look. That is the first instance in which in the mind, in the consciousness of the child, that this idea that there's something greater than myself begins to form. And initially it takes shape as my mother is not me, she's not an extension of myself. There are things other than myself. And gradually, as a child grows, it begins to put this idea together that there are things that are not part of the child, that there's a reality separate from the child. As this grows and is formulated in the life of the child, and the idea matures and takes greater shape, the child begins to ask questions, or to think about questions of origin. Where did these things that are not me come from? How is it that I myself am a reality amongst all these other realities? It's really a question of origins, the origins of the things that I'm able to apprehend and take hold of, to touch, to see, to taste, to feel, to smell. And from this idea, this seminal idea about the distinction between myself and other created realities, the concept forms about origins. And if this is nourished and encouraged and stimulated in the life of the child, the question about origins naturally leads a person to ask, a child to ask, where does everything come from? Now the immediate answer in the negative would prevent a continued exploration of the idea of origins. Things just always were. Sort of stifles and suppresses this continuing expanding sense, this continuing expanding desire to know where things came from, to understand origins. If the question is answered in the affirmative, well, in fact, good question, son or daughter, that there is an ultimate source of all that exists, of all reality. And that source is described and characterized in different names according to different traditions, and different human communities through time have depicted and characterized it in different forms of language, even in myth and in sacred text and in parable and story. If the answer is in the affirmative, it allows this natural expansion of this initial seminal concept that I am not my mother and my mother is not me, that there are things outside of and external to me, that I am not all that there is. I am not the universe. I am not reality. If the question is answered in the affirmative, then this idea that initially forms about where things come from, what is responsible for the fact that something exists, that I exist, will continue to take shape, and it will continue to expand, and that's what leads to the simple and initial consideration about God, about the word that we use to describe the origin and source, the ultimate other that's responsible for all that exists.